distribution. So you've got to have a large database to start with. And that's probably one of the most important elements in fundraising. You've got to have a good, large database. If you only have 250 people in your database, you cannot have an event, a fundraising event. Unless you have 250 really great volunteers with really great Rolodexes, and you decide that the main purpose of this event is to introduce people to your organization, then you can have an event with the main purpose to introduce people to the organization. Maybe each of your 250 people buy a table, a cocktail table for 4, and invite 3 guests to come with them. But other than that, unless you've got that committed database or committed volunteer base, you have to have a good database. One of the other things that's very important then is to really spread the word about your event. Get a lot of publicity on it, get early publicity, get in every calendar, make sure you register so that nobody else holds an event on the same night as your event. That is a major recipe for disaster. And I brought in an article that I just happened to pick. I picked up the Fort Worth Star-Telegram on Friday, and there's a column called Social Eyes. It's actually an entire page because they have all the pictures, the social pictures, of which they'll publish any social picture. And they had some very good words of wisdom in this article. This article is actually headlined, "Spread the Word About Your Event Early." And she makes a couple of points. Don't wait until after your event to send photos with captions. Have photos taken during your planning committee so that you're getting publicity about the leaders, about the chairs, about the event before it happens. Certainly you can send photos afterwards, but get the publicity while all the activities are in the planning stages, so it helps you actually get people at your event. And the other really great comment that she made is you've got to get a lot of publicity, because no matter how well planned the event is, if nobody shows up, it's not a successful event. And that's where your database comes in. That's where your big volunteer committee with lots of contacts comes in. And don't limit yourself to just the Dallas papers or Paper City or something that you're used to. It's actually so much easier to get publicity in some of the neighborhood newspapers. They're usually dying for any kind of publicity. They will print any photo you send about a student. Trust me. Colleges are always sending information about somebody who made the dean's list or who received a scholarship, because it's free publicity for the university. So if you have a volunteer who got any special recognition and they live in Mesquite, send it to the Mesquite paper. They will print anything you give them. You can write the whole article. They'll run the whole article and photo. I mean, they don't have to pay for the content. Park City's paper is great about that. Every one of the community newspapers, Richardson, Oak Cliff Tribune, even the metro sections that run in the Dallas Morning News only on certain days, they also are looking for that type of information. Get all kinds of publicity for the chairs of an event, for instance, your leaders of an event. Find out what neighborhood they live in. There might be a neighborhood newsletter. There's a Turtle Creek homeowners newsletter that goes out to everybody who has condos or lives in Turtle Creek.
There's a White Rock one.
There's a White Rock one, and it's great. Yeah. It is great, yeah. So use those newspapers because they are always looking for content. It's a lot harder to get something directly in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram or the Dallas Morning News. But again, there's, these pages, and once a week they'll put those photos. Bob Miller is fabulous about doing that. You should never do an event and not have Bob Miller feature it, because he will. And he likes cookies, so if you bring him cookies, and make sure you bold every name in what you send him. He likes the names bolded in the email that you send him.
Don't send him an HTML, send him a text.
That's right, don't send an HTML. That's right. Because a lot of times he'll pretty much just take what you've given him, especially when you're listing all the names or listing all of your donors at a certain level, and he'll use that in his column directly.
Who is this again?
Bob Miller, the Bob Miller column in the business section of the Dallas Morning News. He likes to focus on the people involved in nonprofit organizations rather than the event itself. So you always want to lead off with the chairs of the event and the donors at certain levels, and especially if there's some businesses, because it's in the business section, of course. But look at those ways to get some free publicity for your event. Okay, the last thing I've got for you is the top 10 fundraising tips. And this is just a great document that kind of summarizes everything that we've talked about throughout this class. If there's nothing else to summarize what we've talked about, it's all pretty much right here. How to get your board more involved in fundraising, how to increase your chances of getting a grant, how to secure a donation, how to build happy, loyal donors, how to raise more money online, how to raise money on Facebook, how to secure corporate support, how to bring more donors to your cause, how to produce a profitable fundraising event, and how to fundraise for your social enterprise. So just really a kind of snapshot, a reminder, something you might want to share with your development committee of the board so that they understand the depth and breadth of what fundraising is all about, what the development staff does. A lot of times boards don't realize the many different fundraising activities that you have going on simultaneously. So in our last few minutes, let's talk about what I asked you all last week to think about, the 3 things how long does it take to change a board? And everybody says, truly, it takes 3 years.
Yeah, I'm like a year in, and I've seen huge improvements and changes, you know? Like, it's not, like, you know, yeah. Okay.
So, and the first year is the hardest.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you should, I mean, it's like trying to turn an ocean liner. You don't turn it on a dime. It's not like, you know, a unicycle. I mean, you've got this huge group of people who have done things oftentimes one way for a very long time because, you know, they were friends of the founder and they started with the organization because their friend asked them to serve on the board. And they don't really have written expectations and rules and guidelines and fundraising.
Yeah, like,
and
I don't think it's their
responsibility.
fault. Like, it's lack
Precisely.
of direction. And
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's why.
I think that they want to help, they just don't know how. So, like, it's not like we're at zero. Like, I know that, you know, it's very promising. It's a lot of work.
So, and you know, I think that's why you have job descriptions and why you have expectations, why you have a structure for them to work under, and you decide how much can you do in 1 year. If you push them too hard, you're just going to overwhelm them. I mean, you know, I've got one client who the board president is a corporate takeover expert. And he thinks that everything could be done in 3 months. And I'm like, the word in nonprofit management is consensus. You can't tell the board what to do. You have to bring the board around to where they think this was their decision. You can't just come in as the board president and hit everybody over the head with a hammer.
He's going to try.
Oh, yeah. He's going to try. So that's my biggest challenge as a consultant is to hold him back from strangling everybody or everybody strangling him.
I kind of got it the first time I sat on the board at the church.
So they need to have structure in place and they need to have committees and policies. So they're all in favor of it. But if we had brought on only 1 or 2 board members, it would have been uncomfortable, just like you said. So by bringing on 5 new board members all at once, then that's the new class. They've got, you know, buddies together. And they're kind of the new board. And the old board is wonderful and welcoming, but it's hard to just bring on 1 or 2 people and expect them to carry the weight of bringing this board up to the next level.
Well, LSWO pretty much followed all your directions.
Really map out what do we have, and then when you just map out what you have, the gaps just become obvious. Great. Did you have anything else?
Just one more thing. Last week,
So you'll work on an event for 6 months at a minimum.
this was a year in the making.
I'm
for
sure
the
it was
little
a year. I know, they could have,
It hurt. It was like,
right,
yeah, that,
it's
like, hurts my
painful.
heart.
I
It
know
is
it
like
feels
that.
so bad for them. Is because it's kind of a,
It's not a mall entrance, you can go in through Barney's.
oh yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's a backdoor way of raising money without having to ask somebody for money. So teaching people to ask for money is really going to prevent them from saying, oh, well, we need $20,000, let's just do an event. It's the information and the training so that they feel comfortable going out and asking 20 people to give $1,000 so that you don't have to do an event.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what my boss said when I told her that? What I said they should have just gone for that. She's like, you're sure learning a lot in that class.
Oh, yay, good for you. That's
I was like, well, no, but it makes sense because like everything you just said, I just said, and it
That's
sounded so
perfect.
smart.
Good. Good, that's what you should be doing. And you don't have to give me credit for it. You
I
just-
did it.
Good. Good. I want you to take credit for it. That's good. That's good. You do just know.
Anyways, that's everything for me.
Good. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Great.
As a volunteer board member, this is just this. I've learned so much. I'm so grateful. I have to kind of all compress it all down, but all I knew was fundraising events before this. So to go for the ask is huge. And what I'm going to do is present to the board next Tuesday night. I missed June because I was in class, and in July we didn't have a board meeting, but next Tuesday we have a board meeting. This is what I learned, and this is what we need to do. And just really go from there.
Oh, that is going to be so powerful coming from a board member.
Wow, I know. I wish a board
Thank
member
you
would be there.
so much for carrying that message. That's great.
Congratulations.
So it's an even element,
It
right?
says
But
it all.
Right.
I also learned that it's not just going to be me. It's going to take a lot of others to volunteer and be on this and get it done.
And the more we have board members who are advocates for fundraising and development, the easier it is for the staff to train the board and to engage the board. So that's fantastic.
I don't know if it's because of our organization is in that kind of beyond baby, but yet very youthful in its organizational timing and stuff. Going into 7th season in this fall, and only in the 3rd season of the youth wings. But we have a very
For something, you made an interesting statement about the fact that you work for the board doesn't work for you. And that's actually true in everybody's case because the board is the employer of the executive director. And the key, though, is that it's really got to be an engagement between the staff and the board. It should be a partnership. And that's what we're trying to help the board see, is that there are certain expectations of being a board member, certain responsibilities when they agree to be a board member. Some of them are by law, like their financial fiduciary responsibilities. Some of them are by virtue of the culture of the organization. And oftentimes, even in the largest organizations, the development department is key in the relationship with the board, in suggesting new board members, in training the board members, because such a major part of their responsibility is fundraising. So you don't want the board to be recruited for their love of the art form and not for all of the other reasons that we talked about. So oftentimes it's the development department who handles the board relationship. And it's definitely a balance because in effect they are our bosses, but at the same time they should appreciate the staff to where it is a respectful relationship on both parts. The board can help us look good, but more importantly, we can help the board look good. And so a good board really understands that, and it should be an equal partnership. And I have found that in Dallas particularly, most boards really love the staff and really respect the staff and don't view the staff as the hired help, which is not true in all cities across the country. But in Dallas, I have found that our board staff relationships are very congenial and very supportive of each other. And so that's what we're trying to foster. Other comments, questions, anything you all want, any burning questions you want the video camera to go off?